All right, so we are back in the Morrowind, and yeah, I think this is either going to be a very long dungeon dive with killing a bunch of skeletons for the Juno burial. We're already over encumbered by I guess the loot that we got before. So I think we're just gonna try to go to only Sul Centipool's family tomb, because these seem to be family based, which is a really, it's a beautiful area, but I feel like we've got to at least fully explore the area. Rest until healed. Oh, skeleton respawned. There. So the enemies do respawn in the game if you rest, I think, for long enough. Which makes it all the more important that we preserve the resources we have in terms of health and magicka. I wonder if those are spears for us. Oh. Resisted magic. Wow. Resistant to frost. Interesting. Hmm. Nope. All right. Skeleton lightning mate. Yep. Well, that is certainly... Okay. So these are really good weapons, it looks like. Well, not really good, but certainly nice enchanted weapons. We're gonna have to keep that in mind. Silver staff might be very useful. Okay, well, it doesn't look like there's anything in this direction either, so we are probably going to have to brave the horrors of the tombs. Could also try a mark and recall here. Put down some of the things we know we're not going to be bringing with us. Suppose the question really is, where in the mines, or where in the catacombs is the bow? That kind of an underground door. Ghost over there. Well, I'm not sure which one is my enemy and which one is my friend. It's the one that wanted to kill me. Ectoplasm. Friendly ghost sounds. Feyfolken 1. Origins of the Mages Guild. I think we've already gotten that. But, save real quick. Alright. Feyfolken. Give me an enchant skill. Not what I wanted, but guess we'll just take it. Feyfolken, Book 1 by Wagun Darth. I wonder if we've read this before. I guess we'll just read it again. The great sage was a tall, untidy man, bearded but bald. His library resembled him. All the books had been moved over the years to the bottom shelves, where they gathered in dusty conglomerations. He used several of the books in his current lecture, explaining to his students, Taksim and Volguldak, how the Mages Guild had first been founded by Vanis Galerion. They had many questions about Galerion's beginnings in the Sigic Order, and how the study of magic there differed from the Mages Guild. It was, and is, a very structured way of life, explained the great sage. Quite elitist, actually. Just like High Academia now. That was the aspect of it Galerion most objected to. He wanted the study of magic to be free. Well, not free exactly, but at least available to all who could afford it. In doing that, he changed the course of life in Tamriel. He codified the praxes and rituals used by all modern potion makers, item makers, and spell makers, didn't he, great sage? Asked Vongudak. That was only part of it. Magic as we know it today comes from Vanis Galerion. He restructured the schools to be understandable by the masses. He invented the tools of alchemy and enchanting so everyone could concoct whatever they wanted, whatever their skills and purse would allow them to, without fears of magical backfire. Well, eventually he created that. What do you mean, great sage? Asked Taksim. The first tools were more automated than the ones we have today. Any layman could use them without the least understanding of enchantment and alchemy. On the Isle of Artaeum, the students had to learn the skills laboriously and over many years, but Galerion decided that was another example of the Sigic's elitism. The tools he invented were like robotic master enchanters and alchemists, capable of creating anything the customer required, provided he could pay. So someone could, for example, create a sword that would cleave the world in twain? Asked Vongudak. I suppose, in theory, but it would probably take all the gold in the world, chuckled the great sage. No, I can't say we were ever in very great danger, but that it isn't to say that there weren't a few unfortunate incidents where an unschooled yokel invented something beyond his ken. Eventually, of course, Galerion tore apart his old tools and created what we use today. It's a little elitist, requiring that people know what they're doing before they do it, but remarkably practical. What did people invent? Asked Taksim. Are there any stories? You're trying to distract me so I don't test you, said the great sage, but I suppose I can tell you one story, just to illustrate a point. This particular tale takes place in city of Alinor, on the west coast of Somerset Isle. Oh, that's where the new game is going to be set. Elder Scrolls 6 is supposed to be on Somerset Isle, the home of the High Elves, and concerns a scribe named Tharbad. This was in the Second Era, not long after Vanis Galerion had first founded the Mages Guild, and chapter houses had sprung up all over Somerset, though not yet spread to the mainland of Tamriel. For 5 years, this scribe, Thurbad, had concocted all his correspondence to the outside world by way of his messenger boy, Gorgos. For the first year of his adoption of the hermit life, His few remaining friends and family of his dead wife, truth to be told, had tried visiting, but even the most indefatigable kin gives up eventually when given no encouragement. No one had a good reason to keep in touch with Hulzik and Tharbad Hulzik, and in time, very few even tried. His sister-in-law sent him the occasional letter with news of people he could barely remember, but even that communication was rare. Most of messages to and from his house dealt with his business, writing the weekly proclamation from the Temple of Ariel. These were bulletins nailed on the temple door, community news, sermons, that sort of thing. The first message Gorgos brought him that day was from his healer, reminding him of his appointment on Turdas. Tharbad took a while to write his response, glum and affirmative. He had the Crimson Plague, which he was being treated for at considerable expense. You have to remember, these were the days before the School of Restoration had become quite so specialized. It was a dreadful disease, and had taken away his voice box. That was why he only communicated by script. The next message was from Alfiers, the secretary at the church, as curt and noxious as ever. Tharbad, attached is Sunday's sermon, next week events calendar, and the obituaries. Try to liven them up a little. I wasn't happy with your last attempt. Tharbad had taken the job putting together the bulletin before Alfiers joined the temple, so his only mental image of her was purely theoretical and had evolved over time. At first he thought of Alfiers as an ugly, fat slow-dess, covered with warts. More recently, she had mutated into a rail-thin spinster orchess. Of course, it was possible his clairvoyance was accurate, and she had just lost weight. Whatever Alfiers looked like, her attitude towards Tharbad was clear, unwavering disdain. She hated his sense of humor, always found the most minor of misspellings, and considered his structure and calligraphy the worst kind of amateur work. Luckily, working for a temple was the next most secure job to working for the good king of Alinor. It didn't bring in very much money, but his expenses were minimal. The truth was, he didn't need to do it anymore. He had quite a fortune stashed away, but he didn't have anything else to occupy his days. And the truth was further than that, having little else to occupy his time and thoughts, the bulletin was very important to him. Gorgos, having delivered all the messages, began to clean, and as he did so, he told Tharbad all the news in town. The boy always did so, and Tharbad seldom paid him any attention, but this time he had an interesting report. The Mages Guild had come to Alinor. As Tharbad listened intently, Gorgos told him all about the guild, the remarkable Archmagister, and the incredible tools of alchemy and enchanting. Finally, when the lad had finished, Tharbad scribbled a quick note and handed it and a quill to Gorgos. The note read, "Have them enchant this quill." "It will be expensive," said Gorgos. Tharbad gave Gorgos a sizable chunk of the thousands of gold pieces he had saved over the years, and sent him out the door. Now, Tharbad decided he would finally have the ability to impress Alfiers and bring glory to the Temple of Ariel. The way I heard the story, Gorgos had thought about taking the gold and leaving Alinor, but he had come to care for the poor old Tharbad. And even more, he hated Alfiers, who he had to see every day to get his messages for his master. It wasn't perhaps for the best motivations, but Gorgos decided to go to the guild and get the quill enchanted. The Mages Guild was not then, especially not then, an elitist institution, as I have said, but when the messenger boy came in and asked to use the item maker, he was greeted with some suspicion. When he showed the bag of gold, the attitude melted, and he was ushered in the room. Now, I haven't seen one of the enchanting tools of old, so you must use your imagination. There was a large prism for the item to be bound with magicka, assuredly, and an assortment of soul gems and globes of trapped energies. Other than that, I cannot be certain how it looked or how it worked. Because of all the gold he gave to the guild, Gorgos could infuse the quill with the highest priced soul available, which was something Daedric called Feyfolken. The initiate at the guild, being ignorant as most guild members were at that time, did not know very much about the spirit except that it was filled with energy. When Gorgos left the room, the quill had been enchanted to its very limit, and then some. It was virtually quivering with power. Of course, when Thurbad used it, that's when it became clear how over his head he was. "And now," said the great sage, "it's time for your test." "But what happened? What were the quill's powers?" cried Texim. "Can't stop the tale there," objected Vongudak. "We will continue the tale after your conjuration test, provided you both perform exceptionally well," said the great sage. "Ah, I see." Alright, well, the quill clearly summoned something that you probably shouldn't summon. Feyfolken. Be a very high tier spirit. I like that they put warning books about ghosts in a room right after you fight a ghost. Wonder if that mummy has anything up there. Bone charm. Summon skeletal minion, 45 seconds. Very, very good. Well, we found such good loot on these mummies. I'm sure it's from the Morrowind Rebirthed mod, because this is a major story cave. Oh. Yeah, it's really making me examine all the mummies now. Oop. Well, let's try out that bone charm. 45 seconds on self. Oh, here comes another skeleton to the fray. A lot of magic skeletons here. A lot of mage skeletons. Once they run out of magicka, which they do. They're not so bad. Mage enemies are really great for providing difficulty to an area without having to give loot to the player, because their power doesn't come from their equipment like really good swords or armor. It just comes from their natural abilities. Yeah, mysticism. Pretty good here. Willpower. Well, another dead adventure. Steel Viper Cleaver, poison 1 to 6, 130 value. Not too crazy, but nice. It's a steel spear. Imperial steel boots, cloth bracer. Not that great. Niche leather, niche leather, niche leather. Nordic iron, steel helm, steel pauldron. Some lockpicks. Kind of a classic setup. Yeah. We're gonna have to get rid of some of this. Cloth bracer's not very valuable. I don't know the true value of a lot of this because it is Bone Mode Tower Shield. Very nice. Oh, this is very scary. This mummy is talking a lot. Pretty scary stuff. $8 for 80. The spear weighs 20 for 130. We're getting kind of close to our limit. Maybe I should cast Mark on this area and come back and sell things. He looks kind of scared. Okay, go ahead and rest. Let the mark down. We're gonna save, and then we're going to go and sell stuff. I'm gonna spare you the boring details of that, but we shall be back in the next episode and continue to dungeon dive. All right, I will see you later. Peace.